MudRFunR here. Today's how-to is going to be done at the workbench. I've got my starter off of my Jeep. This terminal here is all loose and it doesn't want to start anymore. So I bought myself a new solenoid. And the guy told me that this was just a regular Chevy solenoid. The only difference is that this one has a quick connect on it and the other one actually has a bolt going through it right here. But I can change the end of the wire, no problem, and I guess we'll put the Chevy one on. So this starter is out of a 92 Jeep YJ. I've just got it lightly tightened up in the vise there. And on this one, this is a 12 mil. First thing you should do is take the ground wire off. So on this one there's a star screw in there. So if you have an impact driver, that would be about the best way to get these out. And if you do have one, I'm sure you know how to use it. I've got the screws loose already with the impact driver, and I'm just going to remove it the rest of the way. So there's the two of them. Even inside, I don't know if you probably can't see that, but the insides even look the same. Now this one's got a spring still stuck on the inside. Make sure you get that out. This is the old one. I'm giving you this view here because I wanted you to see this little hook right up inside here, that plastic hook. There's a gasket that goes in between here, and I'm just going to put the gasket on here. It'll stay if you push the center on. Screw holes are lined up. Okay, so this little plunger has a hook on the end of it, and you just want to make sure that that's going to hook in behind this other hook, and that it's in there nice and tight. This little plunger, it activates the starter gear, so it's important that it has to be hooked in there. There's a spring that goes into this end. I've taken the nut off the ground wire already, and make sure the plunger stays in because it just unhooked again. Push that in, line up the screw holes. I've already got my screws in the holes. Just going to tighten them up. The ground wire can go back on. On the other starter, this nut was a 12 mil and this one's a 1/2 inch. Okay, time to test it out. Okay, I've got my booster cables hooked up to the Jeep battery. The positive wire is on the positive terminal on the starter here. The negative I just have down here on the ear of it. Now, when I test this, the gear should turn and it should also jump out. What I'm going to be doing is running my screwdriver from this wire to the small wire and just shorten across those two. Now you should be able to see the gear down here. Yep, she's working. Just gotta put it in. I would have really liked to get this thing up and running last night, but I would have if it would have been just a simple thing of just putting the starter back on, but with this solenoid being a little different, I've had to find myself another connector to go on there, and I found one right here, and got a nice thick wire on it. This wire that I found with the connector end on it. I keep this here around. It has all kinds of odds and ends and wires, and it's a nice handy jar. You see right through it and you can find all kinds of stuff in there. Came from cheese balls. So let's get at her. I really don't want to cut this wire. I may need that tip again for a regular Jeep starter. So I'm going to splice into it. Got my little torch. Now right where I want to tie into it, I'm just melting it a little bit there. And I got gloves on. You don't want to do this without gloves, that's going to get pretty warm. Hopefully you can see that where I got the wire bare right there just in the middle. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but that's how I do it. So I've got quite a bit of wire stripped off this end, and I'm just going to wrap it around that bare section. I always use acid flux when I'm soldering. That helps the solder to stick better. So I'm going to heat that wire up. And I've just dipped my solder in the flux. Okay, it's good and warm. And just melt the flux into there a little bit. So this is the tip that I'm not using. Yeah, should be waterproof there now. Now unfortunately I don't have any shrink wrap that was big enough to fit here, so I'm just going to have to tape that, but it is soldered well. That's all taped up, and I'm going to take the end I'm not using and just shove it up into that grommet there. And I don't like the way this tip is bare on this one, so just put a little bit of heat shrink on that too. Just going to get the starter on. Starter's all back on, wire's on. Moment of truth, going to fire her up. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like, and hit like if you like, please.